everyone. So here we are. It is Tuesday, January 27th at 5:15. I'm doing pretty good because I'm only running 15 minutes behind tonight. So any of you that are out there watching now, I thank you very much for waiting for me, and we have something very cool tonight. So here we go. This show is Unmasked. I'm your host, Jason Fortune. Tonight we're going to have a conversation with someone I did not meet on stage or through credentials, in the way of I met her in a very healing, and just the way that I met Anissa was kind of a wonderful thing. And the fact that she's able to come on here tonight really is a full circle moment for me. But for you and everybody else out there, I hope it's going to be a very long conversation that all of us are starting together. I met Anissa inside of one of her groups that she was holding in the psychedelic healing program that I was part of. And when we started, it wasn't with titles. It was just I came into a video room. I came into a room online and sat down, and I was very raw at the time. I was probably 6 weeks to 2 months from out of being homeless, and we'll talk about that when she comes on. But Anissa and I have spent many hours together in a real space, and she has listened a lot to me, and also given back in what she's helped me with in my healing process. So tonight isn't an interview. It's more of a conversation, and it's an opening of a conversation, and something. It's a long continuation of something to happen, and something that's exciting too that I probably should have mentioned right off the top. Anissa is our first master facilitator with Sage Collective. So not only are you going to meet somebody tonight that is a healer, you're going to meet somebody that is directly impacting Sage Collective and what's happening there. She's shaping this, and she is a very large force inside of Sage Collective. But like we always do, when we start any show, session, but when we start any grove, when we start any circle, any place I've ever been, we always started with breathing. So let's all take a deep breath together through the nose. Go ahead and fill your lungs all the way to the top. Now release slowly, slower than you inhaled. At the bottom, shake out your shoulders a little bit. Now another deep breath in. Hold a little bit at the top. And release slowly. Feel your chair that's holding you. Feel your feet on the ground, wherever they're being held. And let's take one last breath together. All the way to the top. Now slowly exhale, and let's release. Let's shake it out. So that felt very good. I needed that grounding. I hope you all did too. So here we are. Let's bring Anissa on in, everybody. Hi, Anissa. You are live.
Hi, Jason. So good to be here with you.
Thank you. I am so glad you took the time, because I know you're busy with everything you have going on, to make the time to come in here and let everybody get to know you a little bit.
Absolutely. I'm excited about it. I've been looking forward to it.
Let me make sure levels is going good, if you don't mind, Anissa, since we're streaming, before we get going. And I think everything's good. Nobody's saying anything to me. So Let's start with you and let people get to know you a little bit. What do you? How did you come into holding these spaces? How did you come into finding group healing and doing your work inside of there?
Mm. Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I could say the big answer, which is the universe or God or however you want to view. Um, I think sometimes yeah, some people might relate to that, just that you feel that there's kind of a calling in your life. So I think I've always just felt like in healing spaces that that's the calling that I have. As far as groups, I would say I've spent like many years kind of just cultivating different group spaces and with different capacities, but it's probably been in about the last 4 years when I was facilitating circles, yeah, in a psychedelic therapy kind of space that I really started to understand the full power of it and started seeing the transformation that was happening for people. So I am a full believer that group spaces are a pretty big component for our healing process and journey that we need. And yeah, so just really have been honored to get to do this work and am excited to continue.
Yes, we are. As you know, and I've talked about it on my previous sessions here. I've been pushing real hard and trying to get this going, and you have told me, everybody has told me, this is going to happen. This is a good thing, and it is going to happen right when it happens. And having you here and knowing, having you here, having Karma come on board, and I don't know if I've told you, Tyrus, we have a male
Oh
facilitator to
no.
hold some space. So
Yay.
and this
That's
is
great.
this is a great question. I don't think a lot of people understand what holding space means. I know we hear it. I know it's coming up more and more. But I didn't know what holding space was when I first met you. So,
Mhm.
do you mind telling us about that?
I would be delighted to try. Yes, so I would say for me, the way that I think of it's funny because actually people sometimes ask me what I do for work, and I feel like so many of the titles or the roles don't 100% fit. And even this one maybe doesn't 100% fit, but I would say sometimes that is how I answer is I just say, "Oh, I'm a space holder." um, and I think that holding space essentially just means kind of what it says, which is like and I think of it sort of as the energetic space, whether it's of an individual or the energetic space of a group. That it's just the idea of really keeping a container, really keeping like I sort of think of it kind of like the mother hen, that's got all the little chicks surrounded and protected. So it's sort of creating a protective energy field around the person or group. And I think what I like about the idea of holding space the way I see it is that it takes me out of it in the sense of I'm not here to fix anyone. I'm not actually responsible for the healing. I'm just here to actually hold a container where you get to do the healing with me here as a witness and as someone who's, yeah, just providing that kind of mama hen thing. So yeah, so that's kind of how I would define holding
And
space, I think.
when you said that, when you said the way you held space, kind of a mama hen, that is what I felt when
Mm,
I mean, I was really raw when I first came into your space, and so screaming out cuss words was more where I was at. But the softness of your space and talking with Carol Ann and her helping me realize, this. I was. You helped me soften. I came in.
mm,
I came in with a lot of hard edges, and being around you, sitting in the groups that we had, that I was able to be in with you, and there was a lot. I softened, in your
mm,
in your grief group, and not only in the PTSD group where you helped me incredibly, and I started there, but when I started coming over to grief, more healing, and so
mm.
um, from your perspective, what do you see that happens in groups when we're in there and we're all working together that is different when people are working alone? And you do have a one-on-one practice, and
Mhm.
Your website is in the show notes for anybody that wants to look, and I want you to talk about that later when we get a chance. But
Mhm.
you do one-on-ones too, and you do groups. So what will you go back and forth in the way of what you see happening?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to kind of compare the 2, I think both are really valuable for sure.
Yes.
One-to-one work can be just really, I mean, it's very specific to you. You get the full attention of the facilitator, the therapist, the coach, whoever it is you're working with. So as a facilitator who is doing the space holding, I would say the one of the big differences I see is that, yeah, when someone's just doing individual work, then I can tailor it more specifically to that person. But the thing that I would say that groups hold that you can't get as much with one-on-one is really just, it may sound silly, but like the group dynamic, which the group dynamic is that place of being seen and witnessed by others. And especially when you're coming into a group where everyone's kind of circling around the same theme, um, then it's kind of like, yeah, like we've you feel heard, you feel seen, you feel understood because everyone else in the group is experiencing something similar. And so there's just something so powerful in that because when it's one to one and you're coming to someone holding space for you, maybe there's a bit of a feeling of, am I the only one who's dealing with something like this? Where in a
Right.
group you start to recognize that you're not,
And
that others.
you
Yeah, go
hit
ahead.
you hit it on the head when you the nail on the head when you said that, because when I first came into these groups, I'd never been around anybody with complex PTSD before,
Mm,
or the PTSD. This was my first time, and I'm an older guy, so I mean I'd been in a lot of different groups, and I'd never been where somebody else started telling their story, and the story coming out of their
mm,
mouth was my story. And
right.
even if it wasn't the exact same, because we are different, you know, the way that trauma presented within them, I started realizing I'm not alone. You know,
Mhm.
PTSD presents in a certain way, and I kept seeing it in our groups coming around, and that's how I started healing. Actually, that's part of how I started healing was you know you're instrumental in karma, and the facilitators, what you guys do and the space you hold in there is incredible, but the people in there coming back and talking to me, it felt better, and they would say something that changed me. You know, they would say something that released a little bit of shame in me, or I learned something new. And
Yep.
so um, as we're talking about group containers and talking about these healing spaces, why do you think in our culture they're misunderstood? And I don't want to use the word undervalued because that's not the right word, but why don't more people understand the healing power of community?
Do you mean in terms of group sessions,
Yeah,
group healing work?
yeah, I think that's a good place to even start, but we could talk about the healing power of community and open that up and keep opening that up. But in
Mhm,
okay, let me ask it this way to see. I
mhm,
taught I tell my cousin what I'm doing, the companies what we're building with Sage and everything, and he tells me I can't come into group healing
mm,
and talk to strangers. I can't come in and be vulnerable.
mm.
So go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a really interesting thing, and you're right. I have heard some people say the same, just that group spaces feel too vulnerable or too exposed. In some ways. I think for one thing, it's maybe misunderstood in the sense of, or I don't know if it's misunderstood depending on whose circles or whose groups it is, but maybe just not understanding how the space is going to be held. And maybe if somebody's coming in with kind of some preconceived ideas of what it's going to be, then there could be some hesitation on their part. But I think also we have a very, I don't know, this could be a tangent, but I feel like we have a very individualistic kind of society. Like this is our culture here that it's up to me, I gotta do the stuff, and if I can't do it myself, then something must be wrong with me, like I need to do this. And so I think just being able to like receive help and to be seen by others can, yeah, feel really scary or maybe even just have some connotation of like weakness or something being broken. So I think if people could start to understand that it's actually kind of the other way around, and that it actually takes a lot of strength and courage to come and let ourselves be seen in this way. But yeah, I can see exactly what you mean. There's a lot of misconception.
And 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 on this part, this is why I felt compelled to build Sage, and I built Sage. I am the builder of Sage, but I'm not the ministers and clerics that make Sage happen, and that's you guys. I just built this platform because I needed to come in and be part of it. But I built Sage, and of making this, try to open it to everybody I can, so as anybody that can kind of move past that little bit of uncomfortable feeling and come on into a grove and just experience a grove, hopefully that magic happens. And you kind of know what I'm talking about, and that's a great another question, will you speak to that magic? You know what I mean? Will you speak when we're all in that session and it just starts to happen? And I don't know what that is, Anissa. What I know that it's love. I know.
Magic.
Yes. What is that magic, please?
I'm sprinkling fairy dust on you. You just don't know it. I'm kidding. Yeah, what is the magic? Well, I mean, it's probably, I would say we could ask each person. I know you've sat in many, many circles with many, many people, and so have I. We could probably ask everyone what that magic is for them, and it might be a little different of an answer. But I would say that what I see as the magic is that point of connection. And I know I keep using this term, but I feel like it's really important, of just feeling seen, feeling heard, just this place of being in a space where, I mean, the words that I keep wanting to share is like being acknowledged for our experiences and our stories, and also being validated. And that's something that within a group space is so powerful, when you can feel that like all the feelings and all the things you've been through are valid, and that others see that and hold that and witness that. To me, that's where the magic happens, when I start to see people being really vulnerable and to see the
Yes.
whole group holding that vulnerability. Yeah.
Yeah, as you say that, it has been probably 8 weeks since I've sat in a group, and as you're sitting here saying all this, I can absolutely, like, yes, please, like, I
Right?
want it
Yes.
real bad. I need to be in that, because that is what healed me. That my Carol Ann will come in and talk about this later, not tonight, but she'll come back and she'll attest to this, that when I'm going to groups regularly, and I'm in I don't know what to call it, but I'm in kind of a family group where I'm showing up, and I know a lot of the people that's there. The facilitator knows me very well, and this thing happens very easily because we know each other. I'm a
Yeah.
different person, not completely different, but I'm a little less stressed, a little more centered. I have a group, I have a tribe, or a grove of people that understand me, and I have felt like an outsider most of my life. My not
Mhm.
knowing that I had complex PTSD, being told either addict, bipolar, all the different labels I've shouldered up through here, I have always felt alone and on the outside of everything. And when I'm inside these groups, when I'm inside these settings, I don't feel alone.
Mm. I think you just hit on it. That's exactly it. That's what I was thinking about a lot with this conversation, is just, I think that that's essentially the magic. That's the places where, when we can create a space where people can come in and not feel alone, because I think that's the epidemic or the pandemic or whatever that is happening a lot in the world, especially in our culture.
Yes.
And to not feel alone, and to feel that sense of connection with other humans, and like you said, family. And I've heard you say that before, just like feel like it's like coming home, and when it has that feeling, I mean, that's powerful.
I
So
mean,
yeah.
when when I sat down with strangers, and we don't know each other, in the way of we get to know each other, but when I sit in the groups and some of these people I look across the room at, we are even opposed in kind of polemic ways. And I've seen it happen inside there, where a little bit of division happened, but as we talked and we got that crap, whether it was kind of politic or whatever, moved that aside, and I looked at that person, and we looked at each other,
Hmm.
we bonded. And this isn't somebody that I would probably talk to normally, or maybe be judgmental about, or be human and divisive about. And in our groups, so many times all that melted away when the vulnerability came out, and there was a human in front of
Mhm.
me that had PTSD, and he was a vet, or she was, in auto accidents or things that happened, and we were just humans in there learning to work with our stress disorders together.
Mhm.
And that was beautiful. And honestly, Anissa, this is exactly why I built Sage. And in this part, I'll be honest about, there's a real selfish component with Sage to me, and that's to sit in these groves and experience what we're talking about right now.
Mm. Mhm.
That's what keeps me up. That's why I ran it too hard and passed out and did everything I've done the last couple of weeks to try to just push this forward to get these going. And I'm learning, and I know the universe is going to give it to us, and it's going to come right when it needs to come.
Yep,
I just want it. I
exactly.
just want it now. I'm using our session together right now to get a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Um,
glad. Yes.
um, you know, I would like to talk a little bit about. And it only just when I first met you, I was so raw that I did come into your session and I screamed out, an expletive. We were talking about family, and I got triggered and I yelled out, "F family," in the whole group, and it wasn't really appropriate. It's not that it was wrong. It's just that I was kind of emotionally flooding and learning how to be in groups, and your calm way and Carol Ann helping me realize, and it was a wonderful thing as you taught me to soften, because
Mm.
everything I came from was hard charging, alcoholic, violence, kind of
Mm.
a much different background, and the way that you held space allowed me to, hour after hour. And back then it was great when we were at the 90 minutes and 2 hours and everything we were doing. Those periods allowed me to practice dropping my BS. Why I call this unmasked, even. It let me go in there and drop
Mm.
the BS masks and learn to soften up and learn to be soft around everybody, and then learn to be vulnerable, and
Yeah.
and thank
Yeah.
you did that, and I thank you for that.
Mm. Yeah, you're so welcome. I
Mm.
think yeah, I can't take all that credit. I'm blushing.
You
No, but really, it's the group, right? Like it's the way, yeah, it's me just holding a space and then the group coming in and creating that container that I keep wanting to come back to, like safety
I
as I listen to you talk, right? Like just that safety, creating or having a safe space that you can go to. Cause even as you said, coming in with that kind of energy from how you grew up, from your trauma, needed just a safe spot to land in. And probably softness was not safe for you most of your life, right? Like that
No,
wasn't a safe thing.
no.
So even to have to learn that softness can be safe and
Soft
raw and open can
softness
be
was
safe.
Yeah, softness was ridiculed. Softness was
Mhm.
smashed on. Showing a soft
Exactly.
side only invited more abuse, really.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
uh, yeah, I had like three questions come through as we were just talking there, and I was just trying to grab onto, because this is such a good discussion, Anissa. And I want,
Mm.
after we're at it's 5:40 right now, so I want to be respectful of your time too. But I also want to acknowledge that this isn't your last time you'll be here. I think I can. Okay, so
I'll be
uh,
back.
so that was the good question. The difference between, when you were talking, I was telling you what an incredible job you did, and work helping me heal and still heal. And you said it's not only me, but there is a difference between a container that has a facilitator in that container versus
True.
7 people jumping into a room together and trying to kind of have some loose format of something. You know what I mean? The way,
True.
and maybe
Yeah.
that's good to discuss this part. Why is it that you always you have a rhythm to the sessions, and
Mhm.
why is this?
So the format, you mean, kind of
Yeah.
the arc of, yeah, yeah. Um, well, I think partly it's nice to have, just because, especially as people continue to come back and revisit the groups, then it creates, even that can create safety to have sort of this rhythm where you know what to expect, in terms of like we're going to come in and start with a little centering, we're going to introduce ourselves, we're going to flow into some sharing time, just those things I think can, yeah, create a sense of safety. um, and I think that, yeah, just depending on what the group theme is or what it is that we're joining in around, is going to also kind of dictate a little bit of where and how that theme or that arc is going to go. But um, it's funny, I'm doing the same thing you did as I was speaking. I suddenly had a thought or a question, and now I've kind of lost it, but it'll come back. Um, but yeah,
And
hopefully I answered your question.
you
My
did, and
mind went, oh,
this is
there's
a
that.
this isn't like we talked about. This isn't an interview, an ask and tell type of thing. This is a discussion you and me are having. And
Yeah,
anytime, like always, if something leads us somewhere, we'll follow that. We don't have to stick to any of the format.
awesome.
Um,
Mm.
okay. Another one now. Integration. We all kick that word around. For the people new to this world, for the people that I'm asking to please come here and learn about this. You don't have to interact yet, but come and just see what's going on.
Mhm.
How do we describe integration in everyday language with them?
Yeah, I love this question. Integration is definitely it's a catchword out there in the world. It's catching on more and more, and it's definitely something that I've been very passionate about for a long time. Um, I started talking about integration many years ago when I was seeing a lot of people doing psychedelic ceremonies and different experiences, and great, wonderful, medicine's powerful. But I was noticing that people were doing it and then kind of just walking away, and there was no integration process whatsoever. Nobody was even talking about that aspect of it. So thankfully, it's starting to become more. People are becoming more aware that that is a really important part of the therapeutic process. So for me, integration, I can kind of make it real simple. I think integration is just taking any kind of experience that we're having around insights, thoughts, feelings, emotions coming through, healing, just anything that's going on, whether that's through some kind of a psychedelic experience, through breath work, through a meditation, or just walking down the street, walking your dog. Like it can come through anywhere, but integration is essentially just bringing it into our reality. It's just bringing, how do we bring that thing into my living daily reality? I kind of almost think of it like a
Yes.
bit action oriented, or well, I don't want to even say it that way because it may not be actions, as much maybe becoming. That's probably a good word. It's like becoming the thing, becoming the insight that we're having, becoming the new.
I
um yeah.
I can speak to that just really quick and be revealing of myself. I'm going through something right now where uh, music is a part of both my family and a little bit of the abuse, the way this all
Mm.
works. And I realized today with my therapist and Carol Ann and with friends talking about this that I need to get the guitar down and start playing again. It's part of integrate, part of
Yes.
dealing with my dad, and
Mm.
so that I'm just throwing that out there as I'm going to start actively playing music as a way to feel good in my nervous system because it does make my body feel good, but also to help me integrate some pretty gnarly stuff I'm working through with my dad right now. And and,
Mm.
and, and music was always kind of weirdly wrapped in with all of that. So, you know,
Wow, it's wonderful.
you'll hear more about that later with me. So,
Mhm.
um, but that's
That's
something new. Just today, I'm going to start playing music to see what else that brings out, what else that, because I haven't played in 2 decades really, and then there's a reason
mm.
why I quit playing, and starting to play is going to uncork some stuff for sure.
Wow, I love that so much. That's it. There you go. That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
It's like
Um,
asking yourself kind of like how, sometimes that's what I'll say to people is just when they're trying to figure out their integration, like what that looks like is just how can I more embody this thing that I know? How can I more embody the healing that I'm working through, or the insights that I'm getting, or the knowing that I have? How can I embody that? So,
and it's
yeah.
strange that this comes out this way because it's coming from the body up. You know what I mean? This isn't up here,
Mm,
kind of. This is coming up here that
exactly.
says, this thing is saying you need to. you need to take your guitar and you need to start playing it again and start
Yes.
realizing why you chose to stop playing, you know, and
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
integration is very powerful. I mean, look what we just did right there, you know.
Right? I know, I feel like I'm integrating in real time right now, just like, ooh, it's so true. It's so true. And I love what you said about like, from the head, it's not from the head. I was thinking about that earlier today, just that our society, our culture here is so mind oriented. It's just we make mind the master, and then the mind is not meant to be the master. It's meant to be a part of us and it's meant to serve us, but it's supposed to be the servant. And I think
Yes.
that's it, is
I
just to really allow the embodiment and for it to come bottom up instead of top down.
and I believe that's a big cornerstone of Sage now is this body up
Mm,
type of
yeah.
understanding, because that's where my healing really started, and I have been in therapy since I was 7 years old, you know,
Mm,
and I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking any part of this. I'm just saying that when I started working with my body, when Gabor came, when all of that started happening, and body keeps the score, and for me,
yep.
it's only a couple years ago because that's when I realized I was abused with my memories 4 or 5 years ago, and started working through all this, and as it's always been my body. You know what I mean? It's always been in my body. That's where everything has always been, and I've always been trying to use this thing to control
Yep.
everything that's happening in here. When my central nervous system was on fire by the time I was 1 years old, by the time I was one, I was already had PTSD and well on my way to complex PTSD.
Hmm.
So my mind that rode on top of all that for 50 years can't unkink all of that. And my healing came on when we started working with the body. So
Hmm. That's
music,
it.
you know.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely. And the emotional, like as you were saying that, I was also thinking just about the grove concept, this concept of groups. And yeah, it's like it's the body and it's the emotion, like the heart, right? Like also that I'm just realizing as we talk about groups and groves, like how do we um or just how that impacts, the totality of our healing journey is just that heart space. So it's like it's in our body and it's also in our openness, and that's
mm,
beyond just thinking and thoughts, right? That's not just coming in with our, I mean, we can come in with our story, but just the story itself is just a story, but when it's actually like something that's being witnessed and that other people are becoming almost like characters in it as witnesses, then that's where there's something really, really powerful. So
I
anyway,
agree.
I'll stop.
No, no. Anyway, though, I mean, you were right, and this is beautiful. What you and I are doing a little bit what we do inside the groves right now, and talking
Mhm.
and doing this, Anissa, and you just can't help but be the person you are and hold space, and the person that me and in me that needs the space held and comes right into it, you know. So, um,
Mm,
and as we've been talking, I've been feeling grounded and centered, like what happens when we're in a group, when we're doing this. I'm feeling this come over me, and it's
mm,
that magic we talk about, and that is what I would always show up for every one of your circles, and I didn't
mm.
miss them. I didn't miss them once I got locked in. It was the PTSD and grief for me. And you also, do you want to talk about the different spaces you're going to hold at Sage, or would you like to talk about that so people can hear that, or do you feel okay opening
Sure.
that up?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I know we've discussed several options as we get
Mm-hmm.
rolling. So far, the ones that I think will probably be in my domain is going to be PTSD. Um, that also includes, as you've mentioned, Jason, I know is CPTSD, which for those who don't know what that is, I'm sure you've talked about it on here, but yeah, just complex PTSD, which is generally something that comes from childhood abuse and neglect and has come through your whole life, in addition to more acute PTSD from experiences, individual experiences. But yeah, so anything that feels along those lines will be welcomed in that group. And then grove, I love our groves. And then grief. So, and again, this, I tend to have a very wide net that goes out for all of these themes. I don't see it as being something super strict or narrow. So I think with grief too, a lot of times we can think that grief is just about losing someone to death. Of course, that's of course that is a huge grief, but grief just essentially just means any time where you've had a loss in your life. So we welcome anyone that has gone through any kind of a loss, which I've told Jason. When I was leading these groups before, I was recommending people to maybe cross pollinate between the two groups, because oftentimes if you've experienced PTSD and trauma, there is a big grieving process. So it's great to get to also, yeah, be supported through that. And then I also am hoping that we'll get going with an LGBTQ plus group for anyone in that community that wants to come together and work on their integration experiences in a community with others, like-minded, like beingness. And then, yeah, and I've got some other ideas brewing that we'll see kind of how they unfold as we go along. But yeah,
I do too.
so, yeah.
I have some that we wanted to talk about that were just kind of interesting, even like you were talking about grief groups that even, people don't say it enough. We don't talk about how hard pet loss impacts us. And we've seen it with me and you in there, people coming in just torn up over it. And I am too. When it happens, it's so I want this out there for people to realize, and not the men's groups, how bad we need good, solid men's groups operating. But
Yep.
I'm real excited for this. I'm excited for you to come in and open these groups because I will be in your groups, and I'm excited for Karma's groups because I will be there too. I'm excited for Tyrus for the men's groups. I'll be there too. I am literally.
Awesome.
I'll probably be in too many groups, and after a while, people will tell me you need to chill. Like, let us back off a little bit, please, and so. How we've talked about this in our groups, and you've talked about with me, and the softening and the not fixing,
hmm
and how I learned how to soften with you and not brace so hard, and why is softness threatening too? Why is this? Let me back up. Let me reframe the question. Let's
Okay.
first talk about softening and not fixing and holding the space and the difference of how we hold the space as opposed to the kind of fixing mentality.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say that the fixing, that's something that maybe, yeah, I think it's a good thing to speak to, because sometimes people come into groups and or all kinds of modalities, therapy and coaching and all kinds of stuff, with the idea that they're just coming to get the magic pill that's going to fix them. And I think that is a really important piece to keep in mind, is that if there was a magic pill, we all would have taken it already and all would be fixed. There'd be no use for anything, right? We'd just all be good to go. Um, but yeah, so I think it is important just to recognize that part of the medicine is the group space. It is the softness. And I like that you use that word, the softness. Yeah. And by softness, just to, I mean, I know Jason knows, because yeah, we know each other. But I think it's important to say that softness doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean like gushiness in a way that implies being pushed around, or it's actually the opposite. It's like a softness that it comes in, that's allowed because of learning to be able to be vulnerable and at the same time hold boundaries. And that's a really different thing than what a lot of us have grown up with or have come to, in a way of protecting ourselves. So I think just recognizing that in that group space, when we can sort of drop into that vulnerability, drop into that softness, recognize that we can be our true authentic selves and share our true story and be received. I mean, softness equals really powerful.
You
It's
know,
beautiful.
I would like to speak to that for a second because you and I are kind of holding space in an interesting way today. I talked about the
hmm
music and kind of what's going on. I had to have a conversation with a family member today, and it's been kind of a long time coming. And my old self would have went right into attack mode, belittlement mode, smash mode, everything. And today I handled the situation with softness, vulnerability, and boundaries. I absolutely stood my ground and stayed right where I plan on staying in this kind of family abuse dynamic that I'm going through, and with my writing and everything that I'm doing. But
Mhm.
I wasn't mean. I wasn't mean, and I was able to even tell the person, I love you, but we are at an impasse. This we can't
Mhm.
we don't have anywhere to go from here. But I do love you, and I see you, and I wish you the best, but I have to go down the road that I'm going down right now, regardless of how
Mm.
you feel. And
Right.
it felt real good. And Carol Ann and I talked about that today. Today's been kind of a big, heavy day for me, and it's incredible that I get to end with this tonight, and talking to you. But yeah, that in your circles, I learned, and in my it's not just you, but there is so much going on in those. But I learned what you just said, to lower my defenses, to be vulnerable, to it's okay to be soft, as long as like I have good boundaries to protect the softness that I'm allowing to happen within me. The
Mhm.
the the way I discuss music, the way I am around men, I'm not guarded like I used to be. If somebody asks me, "Did you watch the game last night?" No. I don't lie. I'm who I am now, and that
Mhm.
came from sitting in all these sessions, from learning this, from talking with the other people, from seeing the things men go through in those groups, and seeing all this, and it just, without a doubt, like we've always talked about, the psychedelic medicine component was a huge catalyst, and we've always said that. In that part, a psychedelic medicine can be a great catalyst. It doesn't have to be
Mhm.
for everyone, but for me, it was very good. But it was in our groups where the healing and magic happened. The
Yep.
journeys were profound, but in the quiet moments of our groups, the big changes happened within me.
Yeah. Can I turn it around and ask you a question?
Yes, I would love that.
I would Yeah, I would love for you to tell me what you just said, like, and it's okay if you just wanna pick one thing out or something, but I would love to know, like, an example or of what is it in those groups that feels like it was the most therapeutic, like, medicinal aspect
Um,
of being together?
all right, there's many. It's hard to. I'm gonna have to kind of go through a little bit of a laundry list, but
Okay.
when the groups start, and the way we start up the safe container and grounding ourselves, why I even breathe here, and then a facilitator I trust, paramount, because I went into a few different circles, and even afterwards, people kind of trying things different. I've been in a few circles that were unsafe, and I absolutely know what an unsafe circle feels like, and I know what a safe container feels like.
Mhm.
Having someone as supportive as you and Karma and Noah, the guides that didn't judge me, shame me, try to fix me, that is huge. And then finally, um, I'll tell a story, and it wasn't in your group, but the power of these groups. I'm going to be open and just kind of do the unmasked thing right now. When I got arrested a couple years ago, and we talked about, that's kind of the point when started my real healing journey. When I got arrested and all that happened, I was arrested because my family was scared, and I was having a break. I hadn't slept, eaten, and what happened is I got taken to jail, and I got charges that are embarrassing against me, and all this that happened. And when I was able to get, oh, when I got inside the group, a lady was in that group, and she was going through domestic violence in a bad way with her husband, and I wanted to run right then, right when I sat down in that group. And I didn't ever want to come back. And it was Karma's group, actually. It was when I first was in Karma's group, and this happened, and I wanted out. And I told myself, yep, I guess that's a group. I no to that facilitator now, because I don't want to see I don't want to see anything. And
Mhm.
I realized this is part of it, man. This is how it was
Mhm.
supposed to happen. And so I went back to that group, and I told everybody what happened to me, what I did, what was going on. And that lady and I formed a bond over, the group around us formed over this thing that was happening, that I was healing from being violent. And
Mhm.
there was a lady in there who had a man aggress her. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
we're still in touch. And you know what? She'll be in Sage in a little bit. It's Liz, and
Mhm.
that started changing me. That right there did something to me.
Yep.
And so, but that's just one little. That was one
Mm.
person in one group in this thing, and I'm involved in all of these things going around, and it just keeps happening, stuff like that. Nothing quite as powerful as kind of that was very hard on me. I was triggered. I wanted to run. I didn't want to admit who I was, what I had been, and sitting in that
Mhm.
group and watching her tell her story ripped me apart. That was
Yep.
hard, and I came back for it, and
Mhm.
and it changed me as a person. And you know what? I grew softer because I saw, you know, so just stuff like that, and it just
Mhm.
there is magic in these groups that happen. The right people will show up that are. Sometimes a person drops in and you don't ever see them again, but they said something and changes you. And sometimes somebody you spend
Mhm.
hours in groups with the same person and they become closer than your family. Because
Mm.
like I said, remember when you first met me and I screamed that out. Sometimes family can be difficult. Family is triggering for me. I don't spend time with my family. So
Mhm.
these groups became my family. Being in there with you, being in there with
Mm.
everyone, this became my family. Carol Ann will attest to it. I started changing. That's why I built this studio down here too, by the way, is this studio is where I did my changing inside of
Mm.
sitting on these sessions hour after hour healing. When I couldn't get out of bed, I could struggle and get in a shower and come down here and flip the camera on and sit with everybody. And then afterwards I that was the only thing I did for many, many days was just be able to come to our sessions.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's so powerful, everything you just shared, and I know that I've said this to you before, but I definitely, yeah, feel really grateful that I don't know, I see that as a really one of your strengths, Jason, is just how consistent you are with yourself, and just even some of the things you've shared tonight, I'm just like, wow, this is self-love. Like I'm seeing that you're learning it, like
I'm
you're really
trying.
embodying it. Yeah,
I'm
it's really
trying.
beautiful.
I'm trying to learn to eat and take care of myself. We're in a place
Mhm.
where I'm trying to actually heal and learn to eat, take care of myself,
Mhm.
budget for myself, not put myself back. And that's even why today was a weird thing. Like, I'm going to start playing music again because it's just for me and nothing else.
Yeah.
I'm going to strum the guitar and not care if it sounds good and not be perfectionistic and just strum for joy.
Awesome. I love it.
So, okay, it
Mm.
is 6 o'clock. I want to be mindful, so let's kind of start wrapping up because I know you've had a lot going on and a long day today,
Okay.
and so have I.
Life is swirly twirly. Yep.
And for anybody watching and anybody on replay or anything, Anissa will, if you go to sagecollective.care, we will have the schedules up as soon as we can, and as soon as this opens up and is ready, and Anissa, it all starts to happen. This is one of your this is one of the master facilitators, and she'll be holding space. And if you have a chance to sit in one of her sessions, you'll be better for it, just like I was. So,
Mm.
um, I feel good. I feel like we had a real good conversation.
Me too.
I think this was real nice, and I'm good to wrap here because I know that you're going to be back for more if you're okay with that. You know.
Absolutely. Yep, we can talk about all the things many times.
Okay, okay. If you, I'm gonna
Mm.
let you go now. So if you want to bounce, you can, because I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the show.
Okay.
So
Thanks so much, Jason.
thank
Thanks
you,
for having me
Anissa.
on here. This was really
Uh,
sweet. You guys have an awesome rest of your night.
yes, I'll talk to you very soon. Bye,
Okay,
Anissa.
sounds good. Bye.
Okay, so that was Anissa Matthews. Everyone, you can, if you want to go to her website, which is also in my show notes that you can go look up. Let me just pull up her website for you real quick. I need to have this stuff more handy for me, but you know what? Becoming a broadcaster is like learning to play the guitar, and I'm not kidding. Alchemistic Life, ALCHEMYSTIC life.com. So it's kind of alchemistic life, alchemisticlife.com. That's in my show notes if you want to learn more about Anissa. She is a very, very special person, as you can tell. The way that she holds space and the way that for those of you that know me, you know I wasn't like this before. Anybody that's ever been with me and spent time in my life, this wasn't who I'm not. I'm not a soft person. I mean, I hid it. I was, but I was armored up. I was extremely armored up, and I was drunk. I was angry, and with the help of Anissa and Karma and Noah, who you'll be meeting coming up, and we'll talk about that, I started to change. And oh yeah, now that we're back to my part of the show and I'm in control, guess what? See this? All right. 6:05 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. This is Unmasked. I'm your host, Jason Fortune. Thursday at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Noah Saboliak will be on with us. And Noah, I hope I'm saying your name right. That might have some sort of French flair or something to it, and I'm absolutely slaughtering it with my American twang. Noah will be on at 1 p.m. He will be talking about what it is to be a conscious warrior in today's world, what it is to be a real man, not a macho man, but a real man. And he helped me become a real man too, and still is. It's not everything you think it is, and it's definitely not what's portrayed in the movies and on TV. To be a sensitive man in today's world is something completely different, and I'm real excited to have Noah on to talk about that. Sorry, I'm adjusting volumes right now. I'll pull that down just a teeny bit more. Hope that's good. All right. This Saturday night, I will finally be hosting my show, or not hosting, but I'll finally open this space, and I will be talking about, let me pull it up for the title, please, if you don't mind. Addiction is not the problem, silence is. That's going to be a real good talk. I'll be doing it alone. Nobody will be joining me for that. And we're going to have the hard talk on what labels and addiction really is. Anissa just texted me that she enjoyed being here and she will be back for more. And you know what? She hasn't said when she's going to do it yet, but Karma hopefully is going to come on this show. And Karma, if you're watching, I need a time from you. Let's do this. Unmasked is turning into a space where I'm going to host healers. I'm going to bring on people who heal, and I'm going to bring on those who are getting healed, like me. I'm excited for where we're all going. Unmasked is a place it's a shelter for all of us. It's a place where we're safe. Sage Collective, sagecollective.care, is a healing ecosphere that my wife and I have created for people to join in and feel safe and be part of a community that's not toxic, to join groves, to be seen in these groves, have a facilitator like Anissa in a grove with you where you can talk about stuff like I was talking about tonight. Do you know how powerful that is? Do you have any idea what it's like to unburden yourself of the bullshit you're carrying around? I don't know if you do. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not being mean, and I don't mean to shame. What I'm offering here is the opportunity to learn to be soft. We don't get chances to ever be soft. We have to move fast. We have to fight hard. We have to take what's ours. We have to be the rugged individual. And with Sage Collective, we don't have to do that anymore. On Unmasked, we don't have to do this anymore. This is the place where survivors step out and start to shine and start to bloom. And this is not the place for abusers at all. They can come on the show. I welcome them on the show. But this is probably not a great place for them. I think that's it, everyone. Let me just kind of look through my notes if you don't mind and make sure I've tried to cover everything. Just going through. We did not, Anissa and I didn't even get through a quarter of our notes tonight, just for everyone knowing. But man, was this good. And you know what? If you've been here with me and you're going to be part of this, if you're going to take this journey with me and do all this, we got a lot more coming up. And you know why? This is my life's work. This is what I'm here for now. I've found exactly what it is that I'm supposed to do, and I'm finishing that up. Anissa, thank you for bringing yourself into this space. And if you see this later, thank you. This was amazing tonight. I hope people can understand what direction we're going to start going in. And I hope people understand how this is not a show and that this is a space. And I know I'm going to call it a show again. It just keeps coming out. But damn it, this is not. I'm not doing this for entertainment. I'm doing this to try to reach people, to try to get a finger into their ear, into their brain, into this mind virus thing up here that's full of it, full of shit, man. I'm trying to get into there and say, hey, there's something out here. I know you're alone. I know you're lonely. I know you're carrying tons of shit that you don't want to talk about. And I am building a space. It's all but finished. I have built a space for you to come and for you to be part of. For you to have people that you trust and know, maybe aren't friends and family, but you trust these people and you know these people, and you can talk to them, you can watch movies with them, you can sit in a grove with the facilitator, you can come to an open mic night. This is all kind of the stuff that's going on inside the Sage Collective healing ecosphere. It's not just all classes, circles, groves. It's not just all come in, we're getting right after the healing. This is a space where you can unwind at night and do something with some people that you kind of know. It's a lot less toxic than the social bullshit we're all going through right now, that we are all doom scrolling and it's blowing our minds up. Sage Collective is not that. Thank you all very much for letting me talk. Thank you for spending your time with me. And as I always want to say, I recognize this. Anybody that spends their time with me, I am humbled. I'm grateful for your time. There's a lot more shows coming up. See, I did it. There's a lot more space coming up. There's going to be a lot of really cool people that are in this space. I'm real excited for it. When I do these, I get so excited it's hard to go to sleep at night sometimes. Anyway, so much more to happen. Any of you that are there with me, thank you. Any of you that are on replay, thank you. I will be back on Thursday with another good show, Good Space with Noah Saboliak, and I'll also be back on Saturday by myself with another something really cool to talk about. It's going to blow some wigs off. Until then, keep hanging in there. I'm always here.